Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another unboxing for Final Girl, the solo horror survival game. So in today's video, we're going to look at Terror from Above. This is a Vignette expansion for Final Girl. So Vignette, I went and looked this up, is a descriptive basically being a little short story that usually doesn't have a direct plot. Like a dark story plot, it's more about what's going on, like imagery and stuff like that. So this is Terror from Above, which is kind of based on the Hitchcock film The Birds. So that's what we're being attacked by. What is neat about this and why it's not a full set is because this is not a killer angle location. It is just a killer. So it's going to be added to, you need obviously the core set to play this, but you also need at least one other box, because you'll need at least one location, but now you can bring this to any other location. So here it says, a cloud hangs over you and the rest of the unsuspecting victims in the area. You soon realize there is no cloud at all, and the rain would be a more preferable occurrence than what is about to take place. You watch in horror as the first bird dies and is quickly followed by what seems like 100 more. The screams begin as you snap yourself alert, trying to determine the best course of action. How will you survive this terror from above? This vignette expansion can be used with a combination of any location. One feature is including each of the Final Girl feature film box sets. So yeah, this is really neat. So we're going to get a couple of stuff in here. But yeah, it just adds an extra way to play as a little killer. It's a little tiny expansion, but it kind of changes the gameplay a little bit too. So we are going to get some component cards, component and rule cards. So they just have these instead of having a little booklet in there. I actually prefer that than having a little tiny booklet. We'll get our finale and dark power cards, which they just, normally they would have the picture on the top and the bottom, but since we don't have a killer board, these actually then just have those wrote on there to help remind them. We have special cards for them for their bloodlust and spawning. We have our brand new terror deck, which will have our symbol in the bottom corner. We will have a set of tokens. And then we will have a brand new Final Girl, which I love that they added that. So it gives us another thing to do there. So let's go ahead and look at some of our other stuff here. We have components and look at special rules and things like that. So it says, includes 5 rule cards, not pictured, of course. 36 bird tokens. Note, bird tokens have a one bird side and a 3 bird sides for easy game management. It's just because sometimes it might be like by the time you add a 3rd bird, you can flip it over and not have to have 16 tokens out. We flip to the other side. It says, when the skies darkened, I knew it was coming with a terror. Pure animalistic evil, a bird attack survivor. This and the subsequent rule cards will teach you the special rules for the Final Girl Vignette expansion. Terror from Above requires Final Girl core set and a location, following normal setup, but with these rules. For setup, we have, there is no killer board, instead place the bloodlust card and the bird spawn next to the location board. Then place the bloodlust marker on the space start of the bloodlust card. The horror level starts at 4. Place a bird token with 3 birds side up at the killer space indicated on the setup card. Place the Final Girl and victims as normal. Place 1 bird token on each empty space that has no victim or Final Girl. Alright, so that's pretty self-explanatory there. So before we jump into that, let's take a look at this bloodlust card. So normally they have big giant long boards, so there's our 4 horror up here. We only have a couple of spots, and it says event, horror, dark power, and then horror. So the finale is revealed. Take damage, otherwise discard 1 terror card. So the first time we'll do the finale, the next time it will do that. Now this is double-sided, but I believe the other side's the exact same. So nothing extra there. Then we do have a spawn card, which we'll look at in a minute when the rules indicate to tell us about that. So on card 2B, how to win. The win conditions are different from this expansion, so there's no killer. To win, you must save all the special victims. Decide before you begin the game if you want to play easy, 1 special victim, normal, 2 special victims, or hard, 3 special victims. Note, the level of difficulty will also be affected by the Final Girl you choose based on how difficult their ultimate ability is to unlock. Obviously, yes. If you have a person that needs to rescue 5 people or 6 people to get their ultimate ability, it's going to be a little bit trickier to do versus someone that only needs to maybe rescue 3 people. And the same thing, location is going to make a difference too. One board versus another board may or may not make things easier or harder. Alright, then there's special victims, are 3 different colors. Special victims only come out of hiding if and one of the following occurs. You unlock your ultimate ability. There are no more normal victims on the board, or when one of the conditions has been met. Place the special victims meeple in the further search spaces from you with no more than 1 in a single space. Special victims can never be attacked or killed, but all other purposes must be treated as normal villains. So at least you don't have to worry about them being killed, but it means you either have to rescue the rest of the victims, or they all have to be killed. And either one's, if they keep getting killed, then the bloodlust's going to go up, more and more birds will appear. Or happen stuff, which is not very good. Otherwise, you're trying not to die while you're rescuing everybody. Then you gotta run down and keep hunting on. If you're playing with 3, that means you have to keep running to multiple locations and get 3 of them. How you lose? You lose immediately if there are 3 birds on every space of the board, or the final girl dies. The birds are represented by tokens, are considered minions for minion rules. Birds will never move on their own and can only be moved by special game effects, such as from an item, so it might say. So their card here will show on there. They have 1 health, 1 attack damage per bird, and then 0 movement. That's not listed anywhere, that's just kind of there. So you can kind of maybe keep this out as a reminder. Spawning birds. When resolving either of these actions, move or this little footstep, roll 2 dice and follow the instructions on the bird spawn card. You may choose which result to use for the number of birds spawned, and result which use where they will spawn. Birds will always spawn at least once per round during minion action, the first step of the killer phase, but oftentimes they'll spawn more based on terror card effects. If birds need to be placed in a space that already has 3 birds, place them in an adjacent space of your choice instead. Continue finding spaces, expanding further if necessary, till all birds are placed. Alright, so let's look at spawn birds quick, then we'll come back to the attack. So, spawn birds, either the foot movement, which is it can be on any card, or the bird movement, probably specifically for this one. Roll 2 dice. One of the dice values below how many birds are placed. The other will be where you are placed based on the chart below. You may choose which result to use for each. So if you get a 1, distribute any spaces. 2, any single space. 3, nearest item space. 4, nearest exit. 5, nearest victim space. Or 6, your space. So yeah, this is going to tell you where to place them. I'm guessing how many. So you roll 2 dice. Okay, how many birds are placed, and the other will be where they're placed below the chart. Okay, so you roll 1 dice. You roll 1 through 6 in terms if you have 1 to 6 birds appear. Then the other die will determine where they get placed. Gotcha. Makes sense. Very easy. Once you stop thinking about it a bit. Alright, bird attacks. When resolving the attack icon, the attack will take place in a space with the final girl as long as there's at least 1 bird and every bird with 3 spaces. Take place in a space with, so always attack the final girl as long as there's at least 1 bird and every space with 3 birds. So if there's only 1 or 2 birds, they won't attack. Unless it's final girl. Birds attack 1 target in their space, dealing damage equal to the number of birds in this space. Bird always prioritizes normal victims over the final girls. Okay, that's kind of cool too. So if there happen to be 3 birds, they're going to attack 3 damage to that 1 target. Destroying birds. Birds in space can be attacked, and you can remove 1 bird per damage dealt. Excess damage is lost. Alright. Other rules. When birds attack, the final girl can use reaction cards to prevent damage to anyone in her space. Normally, reaction cards cannot be used to defend victims. However, to protect the victim, all the damage must be prevented, and it only takes 1 damage to kill a victim. So, if you can only prevent 2 damage, with a reaction card, and they're going to take 3, they're still going to die. Event cards require 1 or more special victim meeples to be used should be ignored. When this occurs, discard and redraw. Interesting. So now, I think you could maybe get around that if you're playing with one special victim. You could, one or two, you could always use the third one as a separate thing. But the only thing is then you have to remember in your head which ones are the ones you have to rescue versus the other ones. But yeah, it's probably just easier to ignore that. Say you don't have to try and remember, oh, I have to rescue the blue one, but not the orange one. It may happen the event card doesn't make sense or work with terror from above. If this occurs, you can ignore it or draw another card. This could be something that just doesn't make sense. Maybe it moves the killer here, or does something, or sets something on fire, or does something weird. Who knows? Might just not make sense, right? Cool. So those are our cards there. So let's take a look at, just take a look at these token scripts. You have little birds on there for one side, and then we have the triple birds on the other side, kind of in flight. So like walking around, and then terror from above. We have 36 of these, so it's quite a bit. Yeah, let's look at our finale cards. So they're going to have a little minion on the top, attack, and then move. And then we'll have our dark powers. So what are our finale cards? We have move, attack, and move. When spawn, okay, insurmountable odds. When spawning birds, you must select a higher result for the number of birds to be placed. Endless swarm. They just have movement. Moving into space, you lose health if there are 3 birds in that space. And fowl aggression. Move, attack, and then move. For the remaining of the game, when spawning birds, roll 1 die and place that many birds in your space. Ugh. That sucks. And then we have our dark power cards they can gain. Run for your life. During upkeep, panic the victim furthest from you. If the victim panics to space with 2 or more birds, the victim is killed. The Birdnado. During upkeep, if there are 10 or more total birds in your space and adjacent spaces, you lose 3 health. Ooh, boy. And they're just waiting to strike. During upkeep, if there are 3 birds in your space, lose 2 horror. Or horror goes up twice. Not lose 2, horror goes up twice. Alright, what are the birds going to do to us? We have a bunch of terror cards. We have, they're trying to get in, up the horror, then move. Instead of spawning as normal, roll 1 die and place that many birds in the nearest item space. We have 3 copies of that. 5, 6. We have 6 copies, so there's a lot less difference in cards here. But then again, birds aren't going to be smart and do a lot of stuff. They're birds. So the birds are attacking. Attack in your space and other spaces where birds outnumber victims. If no attacks occurred, spawn and bloodlust. We have 3 copies of, where are they coming from? Spawn, and then if 3 or few birds were spawned, spawn again. And then we have 4 copies of It Feels Hopeless. Up terror twice, there are at least 1 special victim in play, move. And then finally, we have minor dark power. We only have 1, but we have bird wall. Victims may not be saved in an exit if there are any bird tokens on that space. Each time a bird is killed, place a bird token on this card. When there's 5 or more bird tokens, remove it from the game. Interesting, it kind of works like reverse health. It gives them technically like 5 extra hit points. Very cool. Alright, then the last thing we have for this video is our brand new survivor. Or final girl. We have Melanie, who has 5 health, and we've seen her in some of the artwork pictures. So each time she rescues, she can gain a health, reduce horror by 1, move up to 2 spaces, move up to 1 space, or take a guard reaction card. So these will all be very helpful for this particular deck. Or against this particular movement will be helpful. Guard card to help protect guys. Now I do wonder with the guard action, or with the guard it's a reaction card, but I wonder if you could use something like a shield, like a trash can lid, which prevents damage. If you can use that to prevent something as well. So it's an interesting question. If she saves enough people, she says once per action phase, you may lose health, deal 2 damage, divide you choose amongst enemies in your space. If each don't victim save, restore 1 health. This is cool. So, what's neat about this is in general is this is going to make her very good against minions. So, like, the birds are minions. Or in the Series 1, which is part of, we have Geppetto and his puppets, which are minions. And then Series 2 and 3 will be other guys with minions as well. Otherwise, it's not as helpful in, like, any other situation. Like, there's only one, like, you're fighting Hans, there's only one guy. It's still not bad. You can lose one to deal 2 damage, so it's still not a bad thing to do. It's just going to be a little bit more effective when you can take out a bunch of guys that each have 1 health each. It's just still very cool. Alright, yeah, so that's the little extra terror from above vignette. So if you're looking at just a extra little way to add something to your game, but you don't maybe want to buy another full set, this is a great way. It adds a new villain, a new killer to the game. Plus, interesting to see how well they're going to interact with different areas. So if they're at the campground versus a carnival versus, like, flying around. Just funny to think about flying around in the Creek Manor. So they're inside the manor. Or if they're at Maple Lane and they're flying around trying to fill in people's houses. It's just like a little humorous to think about the birds doing that because they're being outside. But each different location is going to make these guys act very different. Like, most of the games, you're just trying to avoid one killer. So it's like, oh, okay, the map does this, there's some kind of interacting. And then you have this one where the map is constantly filling up. It's going to be a very different situation for each map. Alright, that's what we have. Hope you guys are enjoying all the Final Girl videos. Definitely come back and check out the rest of them. Hit me up in the comments. See you guys later. Bye.